The search is on for a missing woman. Thanks for joining us. I'm Katie Wilson. Police say Lashelle Jordan is in danger. New video you'll see on Just One station. Horrifying moments after drag racing cars slam into a couple on a motorcycle. The teen drivers then left that couple there to die. We start this morning with breaking news. We've learned the body found in Cleveland this morning is the body of a missing man. Certainly a really scary situation, especially considering this happened in broad daylight outside Steelyard Commons where people are shopping. Obviously, with this happening less than an hour ago, things are still developing and we have few details. But let's start with what we do know from Cleveland police. Warm. It's something we're talking about a lot in January.
Much warmer than yesterday,
Cleveland.
right?
Yeah. Obviously, the rain is coming down. Jamie, any problems on the roadways?
Yes.
Janet, I heard you already say it. There's always next year.
There's always next year. And real fans never throw in the towel, okay?
That's what I'm talking about. We're loyal. A lot of police activity here on Fairport Avenue where Lashelle Jordan lives. We have seen so far in the last few hours police going door to door, handing out flyers. We've seen choppers circling overhead, as well as officers using canines and drones. They're looking for Jordan. And parents in Mayfield City schools on high alert. Two Lander Elementary students walking home near Ascot Road were approached by a man who told them to get in his car. Now, fortunately, the students got away. Some people pulling all-nighters for this. But times have really changed along with traditions. I can tell you from the fire chief of North Ridgeville that this was a medical emergency. That's what caused the driver to eventually crash into this garage. There was also a passenger in that car. Erica, I know we'll see some of the remnants of Nicole, but I want to talk about today because today is looking great.
But he must be stopped. He must be stopped.
Dorisa Green says the man she hired to build her a sunroom never came through, and now he refuses to give her her money back. She signed this contract with Diamond Ridge Construction back in August of 2022. But she says red flags started popping up when work finally began in November. So she called the city of Cleveland to check the status of the work permit for her project.
They said, Miss Green, the permit has not been approved, and they dug up your yard illegally.
According to independent subcontractor Rocky Frum, who worked for Diamond Ridge Construction, building without an approved permit happened regularly.
They always told the customer we were pulling the permits and things like that, so this way we could charge them for it. But ultimately, if nobody asked any questions, they wouldn't bring an inspector in.
Other issues, according to Green, included Diamond Ridge Construction submitting blueprints with doors and windows in the wrong places. At that point, she asked for her money back and for the contract to be annulled. But that didn't happen. And now Green is out $18,000 with only a dug-up yard to show for it. Frum says some of these issues, like delayed or incomplete work, was a standard at Diamond Ridge.
We weren't finishing jobs, and we weren't getting to the next stage. We were getting the big deposit, and then if anything that we would promise people would only take a couple of weeks, 4 months later, we would go out and do phase 2 of like a 9-phase project.
Some pretty serious allegations. So we decided to go to Diamond Ridge Construction's office and see what they had to say. We spoke with Brian Stepp, the man Green said she mostly worked with. He wouldn't go on camera, but insisted the company played everything by the book and requested more money after the excavation because that's what the contract stated. As for the delay in the project, he attributed that to Green, who he says changed what she wanted in the blueprints. But these aren't the first allegations made against Stepp. In fact, in this lawsuit brought against Stepp by the Ohio Attorney General's office in 2021, he and another defendant were ordered to pay $100,000 in damages after the judge says they violated the Consumer Sales Practices Act. As for Green, she says the damage is done, but she has a message for others.
If there are others out there, which I know there are, please come forward.
That's the finished product.
Nicole Mooring and her daughter Macy work long hours looking at the computer together, working to grow their nonprofit. It's a project of passion, but it took heartbreak to get here.
My son, who has autism and Fragile X syndrome, was a victim of sexual abuse not once but twice. And my daughter, who's neurotypical, was a victim of abuse once.
In just one day, Mooring's life was turned upside down. She found herself fighting for justice for both children, quickly discovering one battle would be much more difficult than the other.
I really feel my son was discriminated against. I feel that they didn't know how to handle his case. You know, there was a lot of excuses as far as because there was a disability, you know, they don't know how to try those cases.
Mooring felt lost, struggling to find resources to help her son and support for herself. That's when she decided to start Voices of Change, vowing to help others going through the same situation.
Just started with an Instagram page with this idea just to start, you know, creating posts about, you know, ideas of, you know, how to reduce the risk for abuse.
The page still exists to this day, but has grown to a certified nonprofit, offering ways to reduce the risk of abuse for children with disabilities and provide resources if it's already happened. Some of the information includes signs of child abuse, communication tips, and avenues of support. While the project's grown immensely, it's taken its toll on Mooring and her daughter.
It's tough to know how these monsters out there are just taking advantage of such a vulnerable population.
A tiring struggle, but Mooring will continue to do everything she can to protect the vulnerable and arm others fighting similar battles. Reporting in the Medina County community of Hinckley, Katie Wilson, 19 News.
It's the best thing that's happened in the past 10 years.
Finally, a step in the right direction for neighbors living on Gorge Boulevard in Akron. They've been dealing with the dangers that come from the Cuyahoga Falls Avenue exit off of Route 8 for decades. It dumps highway traffic right onto their street and has caused accident after accident.
See what I'm talking about?
On top of that, speeding's a huge concern. But one day after our follow-up story aired on the lack of safety improvements, these warning signs were installed along the steep curve.
This will hopefully at least prevent the aware people of missing them and running off into the field or through the fence.
But unfortunately, not everyone is aware. And neighbors Joseph Tuleman Luciano and Ron Kaufman say this won't prevent everyone from missing the curve before it's too late. That's why they're asking for more.
All we need is a warning of a rumble strip, guardrails to stop the cars from coming all the way across the street. That's all we're asking for.
The city says this is just a portion of the traffic control improvements, and they'll continue working once out-of-stock materials arrive. In the meantime, this is a start, and Coleman and Luciano say it wouldn't have happened without the 19 troubleshooters.
It'd be nice to be able to call the city or the county and get the results we got calling you guys.
I really do thank you guys for taking care of our city.
Getting results in Akron, Katie Wilson, 19 News.